Let me ask you this. What fear did you have about starting to redevelop your body and let alone not just redevelop, but reactivate it? I do believe that the universe or God, whatever you want to call it, sends you or life sends you a message. Sometimes the message is not very comfortable to take because it's discomfort that's going to grow us. So you got some messages from people that are close to you and you saw that they lost their own mobility. And now you've been given an opportunity to work on this and completely change the course of your physical conditioning.
So those thoughts about trade-off, those are thoughts of a loser.
Life actually starts after 40. And the reason is because welcome to the 40s Plus podcast, where your best years are yet to come. I'm Coach Adam, and for the past 22 years, I've been helping women 40 and beyond, busy professionals, moms, partners, high achievers just like you, who are ready to reclaim their body, their strength, and step into their power. This isn't just another fitness podcast. This is your comeback story. We're here to defy that life ends at 35 or 40. Society has been lying to you because life doesn't end at 40. It begins at 40. In today's episode, I'm talking with a badass mom of three, a busy professional that travels all over the world while maintaining a successful career, raising her kids, and reclaiming her body back. She embarked on this journey a few months back and is already making progress. Join me today in this podcast. Let's get into this. How old are you?
57.
Okay. And obviously, you've been working with me on fitness and you've been working with me on developing a workout routine and understanding your body while you're going through your midlife and you're a very busy career woman. I know you travel a lot. You travel every week? You travel every week, right?
Every week after, more or less 2 to 3 weeks a month.
Okay. And how many hours do you travel per flight? Average.
Average 5 to 6.
Aside you working on your fitness and strength building and following modifications from my program about what type of exercises you should be doing based on how you're getting back into your body and then fat loss and everything. And then you want to optimize your hormones so you can have a better quality of life. Let me ask you a more deep question. In your mindset, how's the whole journey feeling?
It has been um, transformational. Um, I enter with a lot of hope and expectations, but not knowing what this was all about. So it comes now to an expected Saturday meeting with the coach. And after that, after we always ended up the session with a question, which is the outcome of today session, it ended up that that reflection gets deeper on me, and I live with that for the whole week. So when the next session comes and the same question comes, it's kind of building block.
Hmm.
So it's an addition. So the physical exercise are connected with all that theme and not separate. So there is not a first part in which you practice the exercises. You have the evaluation for deciding what exercises to add or not. And then you talk about well-being. It's an one thing. Um, Everything has to do with everything. We practice one exercise. We talk about that, the implications in the health. Always there are some stories, and then we engage in another exercise, and so on.
Okay. So help me understand, um, because that's a very deep perspective of what you're sharing. So help me understand. Before you started this program in February, what was the lowest point before you started this journey with me?
Now I realize what I felt, but I was unease and very anxious. Everybody, at this age or any other age have some very close relative that might be sick or under deep need of receiving help. And that when you get so into that story and you don't realize which is your role and what you can do on that piece, which is to help, etc., you get lost inside the problem. And without knowing, you become part of the problem
Mm,
because you start to be also anxious with that relative or person that you love, asking every single day how she or he feels. So now I realize that I was in a high point of anxiety that made me lose my center, my balance,
mm,
and that has an expression first through the physical piece,
mm,
um, which I came into the program and I was telling you, like a mummy, completely stiff.
mm,
The the part in which now, after some months, I connect is that I thought at that time that that was a consequence, pure consequence of lack of activity, and that was not the case
mm,
exclusively.
mm.
So the role that the mind has as part of the whole human being, um, it was something that I had underestimated.
Hmm. Interesting. So let me ask you this. The mind-body connection is real, obviously. We know that, obviously, not just as a coach, but as science has already proven. Actually, we've known this as human beings from a long time ago. I mean, the monks knew it, yoga had knew it, everybody knows it. It's just the level that stress and anxiety affects your body is completely, it's underestimated. What fear did you have about starting to redevelop your body, and let alone not just redevelop, but reactivate it? Because I know you said you did ballet when you were younger, you did some workouts and stuff like that, but then after so long, coming back into it and then learning how to reactivate the proper muscles and just putting your mind to the muscle connection and understanding on how to modify each exercise too and dealing with that. Like, what fear did you have about starting again?
I knew that I was not in my best physical shape, but it sounds ridiculous, but it was not. That by starting, you then have a measure, a concrete measure on how bad are you in terms of physical well-being. And then I discovered the connection with the mind. So I knew I was not doing well, but the fear was that entering into a program like this, because I researched the program, was that, well, finally it's evident to me, to the coach, but mainly to me, the real uh, stage in which I am and the status in which I am. So I cannot ignore any longer. So the first evaluation was was bad.
Mm,
When you asked me to do the lunges, and I couldn't get down more than some few inches. When I remember years back in ballet, I used to do the full split.
mm,
That moment, it was a crackdown inside me. How am I in this stage of stiffness? How did it happen? How did I allow to do to myself this damage to my body? So um, it was a moment of complete awareness.
mm,
And because I'm not the person that I'm not a quitter, once I learned that I engaged more in the program, but it was difficult the first sessions.
Hmm. What's your biggest reason why you went from being able to do the splits, like you said, when you were younger doing ballet, to succeeding in your career, having kids, traveling all over the world, helping close family members that needed you, to realizing that it's important for your body to get back in shape and healthy and mobile and strong and fit. You're already successful in your life. Like why do it? Like was it something physical, mental? Like well, you could challenge your own mindset and say, I'll get by in life.
Because I saw some people and some relatives older than me having a lot of difficulties in managing their life, their daily routines, because of a lack of a physical condition,
Mm,
like getting in and out of a car,
mm,
um, stepping up in in a chair, going to the toilet, taking a shower, putting their socks. So eh, it was painful to see, for me, to see those people in that condition.
mm. Yeah, the basics of life where you don't even have control of your own mobility.
Hmm.
Um, okay, so you've been on the program for some time and it hasn't been easy. You went from being able to do push-ups and lunges and resistance bands and everything in a very short amount of time than to having a stiff neck, and then now we're rebuilding you back up. So these detours happen. It reveals, but here's the thing, how do you deal with being wanting, you have to be patient with rebuilding a body. It's not easy. You're rebuilding a body after you were able to do splits in ballet when you were younger, and now midlife, you've decided to go on this journey. How do you deal with reminding yourself on being patient and compassionate? Like, what's the secret to reminding yourself not to get frustrated?
Mm. Well, first, the truth. Sometimes I get frustrated. Okay, so this is not. I am not 100% on the other side of the road. Uh, so persevere always, always in my life, in any of my the activities in which I seriously engage in, and this is not different because when I now that I am re-engaging with the program after those physical conditions that prevented me to continue in the path that I had started, every single Saturday I see my body improving again. Very little things. So it's let's say our body is grateful to see that we are, from a mindful perspective, patients. So the body responds.
Hmm.
And for me, that's a new learning and an important learning.
Yeah, that's interesting that your body is grateful that you're working on it.
Correct.
Yeah. Um, I do believe that the universe or God, whatever you want to call it, sends you, or life sends you a message. Sometimes the message is not very comfortable to take because it's discomfort that's going to grow us. So you got some messages from people that are close to you, and you saw that they lost their own mobility, and now you've been given an opportunity to work on this and completely change the course of your physical conditioning over the next 3, 4 decades of yours. And I hope that you live strong, fit, confident, long, and healthy.
Mhm.
And it goes back to where my inspiration for this podcast comes, that life actually starts after 40. And the reason is because after 40 is when we really start thinking like we actually don't know much before 40, or like the awareness kicks in. So here's the thing. What advice do you have for someone who's in their 40s or 50s or even 60s? What if somebody's listening one day in their 60s and they're like, well, do I have any hope? My grandmother lived till 85. I have another 2.5 decades. What hope do I have? What advice do you have for that person?
Uh, that only good things will happen when you decide to change. So those thoughts about trade-off, meaning I might have only 20 years ahead. Why bothering engaging in this uncomfortable physical activity?
Hmm.
Those are thoughts of a loser.
Wow. Okay.
So something that I realized with the recently is that age doesn't predict what your decisions and the way you decide to live.
Hmm. It's
So there is I think a paradigm, especially in the Western Hemisphere, that at this age you are supposed to do this. At this age, this other thing. This decade is for raising the family. This other for whatever. And for example, at 60, between 60 and 70, you should be retired.
hmm.
Who said that?
Hmm.
And most importantly, who cares?
Hmm.
Doing a decoupling between age and how do you want to live
Hmm.
gives you a new, renewed sense of taking control of yourself.
Hmm. Yeah.
So to the 60s, to the 50s, or even to the 70s, forget about that stigma.
So it's really you asking yourself, okay, I don't care how long I have to live, but how do I want to live? What's left over?
Correct. That's correct.
Yeah. And you said something very, very powerful. That's a loser mentality. Now, obviously, as a coach, I specialize in transformation and mindset and fitness. So that language works very well for me. I got to be honest. I like someone to push me. I like someone to challenge me. I like someone to get in my face and say, that's a loser's mindset. Is that what you really want to do and how you want to think?
Mm.
But what about someone who can't handle that straightforward, brute honesty?
Eh, yes, I would say that we have to give the permission sometimes to be cowards a
Mm,
little bit. Uh, so from there, you start to rewrite what you want to do next, uh, because it's not comfortable to
mm,
be all the time in a situation of bravery, courage. It's only for some people,
mm,
but the rest of us, common people,
mm.
it's okay to feel fear. It's okay to be ashamed,
Yeah.
and we have to give the permission sometimes to not know, not or being sometimes lost in finding our way,
Mm,
because that ignites our own internal engine on what's next for me. And when you ask that question, it's a profound question. And it never happens that you have a variety of options in front of you, very well defined, very concrete, with a project plan in each of the different work streams. So when you came nude to yourself, saying, I don't know how to handle the next phase in my life,
mm,
what to do next. it's okay to feel fear, because from there, I can assure that not the first day, not the first week, but in few weeks, a couple of months, some clarity will emerge from the fog. You have to be patient on that. And then what everybody sees is when you emerge with a lot of energy and bravery. But what few people understand that energy and bravery was cooking a couple of months before in a complete status of, you know, I'm very confused of confusion.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like saying that we actually have everything we need within us. We just have to uncover it. And it's okay to feel fear because feeling fear comes before acting courageously, as long as you're honest with yourself.
Yes, yes, I perceive, I'm talking about the Western Hemisphere, especially, in which there is a lot of adherence to the winning culture. I have to be a winner all the time.
Mm.
And we know that is not the reality.
Mm.
So most of the people sees when you are in good shape or in a position of, let's say, good standing, and ignore what was before that.
Mm.
It's a whole path of transformation. And when we are adults, to change a behavior, it's hard. It's very hard.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Thank you so much for sharing this.
Thank you for joining me today in this crucial conversation with my client, a real life person. I will see you next time, Coach Adam, and live your best life 40 plus, your comeback story.